The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Richland Fire and Emergency Services, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 37037. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation. Starting on the face of the front bumper on the passenger and driver side, you'll find dual air horns. Just inside that location on the passenger side, you'll find the electronic siren and PA speaker. In the very center, you'll find your mechanical siren. Let's move up onto the cab of the apparatus. On the outer edge, you'll find a turn indicator marker light. Just inside that location on the face of the cab, you'll find your headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. High beam is located on the inside. Just up from that, you'll find a turn indicator and a forward-facing emergency warning light. Let's move up onto the windshield, where you'll find 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. As we move to the outer edge, you'll find a mirror housing a flat and convex mirror on the passenger and driver side. Up to the brow of the apparatus, 5 ID clearance lights, and on top of the roof, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located with inside the light bar in the very center is your opticom. Let's go ahead and take a look at a full side view of the apparatus, first starting with the driver's side. Let's identify a few items within the cab area. Let's first start at the front bumper with the side-facing emergency warning light just next to the bumper area. As we move toward the front axle, you'll find Alcoa wheel and also a visual sight gauge for the front axle. Moving up from that location, easily accessible with a gloved hand, these are your door latches. They also are a combination keyed lock. Also right next to it, you'll find the grab handles for gaining access in and out of the cab. Just to the rear of that, over the front tire area, is where you're going to find your auto eject shoreline inlet. Directly above that, you'll find a side-facing floodlight. As we move to the rear of the cab, you'll find your water tank level indicator. It is an LED water tank level indicator. Let's move now to the midsection of the apparatus, general view, and we'll take a look at the body section. Let's start first with the very bottom section with 2 folding wheel chocks, one in front of and one in rear of the rear axle. Just up, a midpoint marker turn indicator light. Also, just over the rear axle, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. And as we move up to the very rear of the apparatus on the top, you'll find a 360-degree emergency warning light. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus. Let's start first with your lights. At the very top section, you'll find an emergency warning light, brake, turn, and reverse light. Moving toward the very center, you'll find your backup camera. And then also as we move at the very top section, additional image, this is those emergency warning lights rear facing. Let's take a look around now to the passenger side. And then we'll focus in on the next section, which is the cab area. Same configuration and layout as you have on the driver's side. And then we'll go to the midsection, and then we'll move to the rear section of the body. Once again, same configuration and layout for the most part on each side. Let's go back to the driver's space. Let's first start at the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, all safety and warning placard information are displayed here. Also, you'll find the door lock and latch combination. Also, electric window controls for all 4 windows located on the driver's side, and a grab handle. Let's move down to the base of the step area where you'll find the air inlet. And let's go ahead and move inside to the cab area now. Let's start first where you'll find the battery voltage. This is an indicator when plugged into shoreline power, this will become active. Also, you'll find this yellow placard indicating the date of manufacture of the vehicle, 5-digit job number, the gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity type on this placard. Let's move now to about the base of the pedestal where you'll find a storage location for a flashlight.
Moving now to about the left knee of the operator, the master battery switch. It is the quarter turn silver switch just to the right for your maintenance team. This is the tech module. Right next to it, you'll find your engine, transmission, and ABS diagnostic port, once again for your maintenance team. As we move further down, you'll find the ABS diagnostic switch, DPF regen switch, engine diagnostic switch, and regen inhibit switch, and then also a display plug-in. As we move just up from that, you'll find the push button for the rumbler, and then also for your Freedom X, this is your inverter status center. As we move to the opposite side of the steering column, you'll find your pump shift. There are instructions from road to pump, and then also instructions from pump to road. Just as a reminder for pump operations, when exiting the cab, you'll need 2 green indicators, OK to pump and pump engaged. Let's move to the dash. On the left-hand side of the dash, you'll find the ignition and start switch. Just inside of that location, you'll find a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights. Right next to it, headlight switch, and then panel switch, allowing you to brighten and dim lights within preview of the operator. On the opposite side of the steering column is where you'll find your OK to engage the idle indicator and switch. As we move to the gauges, you're going to find your transmission oil, def level, and water temperature. On the right, you'll find front air, rear air, volts, and fuel level. In the center, tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information will display above and then also below the tachometer and speedometer. Let's move just to the right of this location where you'll find a general view, and then let's start at the very top section here with the Pierce Command Zone. This is a function button in the lower section and then also a touch screen visual indicator. Tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips about your apparatus. Please see the owner's manual for more information. As we move down from that location, you'll find your mechanical siren, red siren brake switch, a red engine brake on and off switch, settings for that engine brake for low, medium, and high, off-road traction, and then right next to that, you'll find the mirror heat. Let's move further down where you'll find your Allison transmission pad, push button, digital readout, informational note to pump and drive, and also your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. It's the yellow diamond. To the right, you'll find your flat mirror control for right and left mirror. In the very center section, you'll find climate control, heat, air conditioning, and defrost. And then right next to it, you'll find a siren brake. This has moved all the way over now to the passenger side of the vehicle. Let's go ahead and take a look overhead of the driver's space, first with this yellow placard indicating the height of the vehicle, 10 feet 0 inches, length 32 feet 0 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 45,000 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle that may change any of these, please update this placard. Also, all of our emergency lights, emergency master, load manager, tire chains, air horn, driver's side scene, and passenger side scene lights. As we move further to the right, you'll find your siren control head and PA speaker system. Moving further to the right, we'll find our AM, FM, Bluetooth, Sirius XM, CD, weather band radio. You'll also find these red and white labels indicating warning, do not remove. This is indicating spare wiring behind the panel. It is identified by the option number and then also the termination type. Let's move toward the center of the apparatus on the roof area. We'll find this light indicating if illuminating, do not move your apparatus. You may have a compartment door open or ladder rack down. Let's go ahead and move from this location, general view, overall overhead of the driver's space. Now let's move to the rear of the driver's seat, where you'll find when plugged into Shoreline Power, this outlet becomes active, which is plugged into your battery charger, which will maintain battery when you're plugged into Shoreline Power. Also, you'll find a 12-volt bus bar located in the very back section. As we move exterior, you're going to find our Michelin tires, Alcoa wheels, and once again, that visual sight indicator. Shoreline inlet, auto eject, 20 amp. Let's go ahead and move now to the rear section of the cab area, and we'll start with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, combination door lock and latch, electric window control, and grab handle. Overhead, you're going to find push on and off white or red lens lights. You'll also find we have 2 rear-facing seats and a single forward-facing seat on the passenger side. Each of those seats do have a flashlight near them. And then also, as we move toward the center, lift and turn latch at the rear section of the apparatus's engine get you into this compartment where you'll find your daily checks for oil and transmission. Let's take a general look around the cab here. Let's start first in the very center. You'll find a roll-up compartment. Inside that roll-up compartment, you'll find LED lighting and then also adjustable shelving. Let's move outside of the vehicle directly behind the rear cab where you'll find our walk-through space. This is in the pump near the pump panel area. These are two compartments, one on the passenger and one on the driver's side. As we move to the controls on the pump panel, let's start first on the left side of the image with your open and close rear inlet. As we move just to the right, you'll find a passenger main inlet, open and close. And then as we move to the red module, this is going to be your Husky foam system. There are instructions for its operation, and then also you'll have a foam level indicator that is the LED indicator lights to the right. Let's go ahead and take a look in the gray module where you'll find your master intake gauge and master discharge. Between the two of those gauges is where you'll find the test gauge ports for vacuum and also pressure. They are currently plugged in for testing purposes. Just beneath that, you'll find an audible speaker. The outer edge of that bezel does rotate. Just to the right, we have a pump primer engaged visual indicator light, engine cooler, that is a twist, not a pull. Also a primer activation for your Hale primer, and then also a switch here for your pump master switch. Let's move just to the right where you'll find a switch panel. First, panel lights, driver's side scene and passenger side scene. Also an indicator OK to pump should be illuminating green when you exit the cab for pump operations. Also the driver's main inlet, and then also a minimum operation maintenance schedule placard. We'll go over that in a moment, and a placard indicating warning. Only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. Let's go back to the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. On the left, the associated GPM at that test pressure, and on the right, the associated RPM at that test pressure. We do have the 5-digit job number, 37037, in the upper left-hand corner and a governed speed of 2,400 RPMs. Also, you'll find the Watrous placard indicating the capacity of your pump, 1,500 GPM. As we move to the left, you'll find the passenger side auxiliary inlet, all of our color-coded and labeled discharges. The red is indicating that it is a foam-capable discharge. You'll also find the Husky 3 foam system specifications and instructions, also the real discharge and deluge discharge. And then to the right, you'll find the pressure throttle governor. Incorporated with inside that is your water tank level indicator. Right next to that, you're going to find the tank to pump, and then also tank fill and recirculating line. Let's move further to the right on the pump panel, where we'll identify additional discharges, color-coded and labeled. Once again, red indicating that they are foam capable. And then to the right, the driver's side auxiliary inlet. Let's move now to the driver's side pump panel. We'll start first on the far left-hand side. We've removed the panel. You can see we have an upper and lower discharges. This is your cross lay. I would like to point out some warning placards. When climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle while climbing onto it. Also, because of these lines located here, we do have an entanglement warning placard. Let's move just to the right. At the very top section, you can see the discharge. As we move down to the very bottom section, you can see the lower discharge on the passenger side. Let's move inside to the rear section behind the pump panel, and we have access here. This is where you'll find in the lower section, lower left, the driver's side main inlet override switch. Additional view here inside or behind the pump panel area. Let's move down where you'll find the two 2.5-inch discharges located on the driver's side. You'll also find this warning placard indicating pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Also, the manual override for your electric valve. And then at the very bottom section, this is the driver's side main inlet. Some close-ups of the items that we just talked about. First, driver's side number 1. You can see it is foam capable. driver's side number 2, which is not foam capable. As we move behind the pan door, you'll find access to your relief valve. Also, you'll find your foam lever for horizontal and vertical operations. There is an informational placard on the back of the door, and then also your foam drain. Let's move down to the very bottom section where you'll find the driver's side auxiliary inlet, then also your foam function for draft and tank, fill location, also a warning placard here. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. As we move to the very bottom section, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's move just to the right. This is that Watrous placard we spoke of earlier, 1,500 GPM. As we move to the right, you'll find the pump drain, and then just beneath that, you'll find the manual pump shift. Let's move under the running board area where you'll find an additional drain. These are your foam pump discharge drain and also the foam pump intake drain. As we move now into the compartments, let's start at the very top section in this compartment. This is your inverter. As we move down, you'll find a pull-out tray. The release mechanisms are on the right and left. As we move to the very bottom section, a shelf. In the very center, an additional shelf. And then also as we look in SCBA bottle storage, we have 3 SCBA bottle storage located in front of the axle. Once again, Michelin tires, Alcoa wheel. As we move back up to the SCBA bottle for a single bottle, and then also the ultra low sulfur diesel fill. It is the silver cap, and then a blue cap, which is the 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. Let's move to the rear compartment, adjustable shelving and a pull-out tray in the very bottom section. As you look to the very top section, you'll find when plugged into shoreline power or inverter power, this outlet will become active. The release mechanism is on the lower right-hand side for your tray. And here is a full view of your apparatus with all compartments open. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus next. Starting first at the very top section, on top of the hose bed, we have an additional storage location here with a lift and turn latch. As we move further down into the hose bed area, you'll find your hose bed dividers. There are currently 5. We have rear scene lights and hose bed lights. As we move toward the rear section, you'll find some warning placards. First, entanglement hazard. Because of those lines coming from aloft, there's the possibility of entanglement. Also a fall warning, never ride on the vehicle while it is in motion. And then also a warning, fall. When climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. As we move down in the center, you'll find your backup camera system. Also a pressure warning hazard. Caps, once again, may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. At the very rear section, you'll find the rear inlet. It is electrically controlled from the pump panel. In the lower section, roll-up door and a release mechanism on the lower right for the tray at the bottom section. General view now of the passenger side of the vehicle. Let's take a look inside the compartments. Same configuration. As we look inside the compartments, adjustable shelving. As we look to the very top section of the compartment, once again, shoreline and inverted outlet, 20 amp. As we move to the very bottom section, you'll find the rear inlet air bleed. And as we move forward to that location, SCBA bottle storage for up to 6 SCBA bottles with retaining straps. In the top section, you'll find a tool board. The release mechanism is located on the hinge side of that tool board. Close-up of the SCBA bottle storage location, and then close-up here of the wheel and tire assembly. Let's take a look just down from this location where you'll find an additional warning placard. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operation. Be cautious where you park your vehicle and protect the exhaust area. As we move forward to this location, adjustable shelves, LED lighting. And as we move to the midsection pump area, let's start first with a few items within the pump panel area. We'll start at the very top section with the reel for your booster line. As we move down, we have an additional pan door for gaining access behind the pump panel, ladder storage fill location for hydraulic fluid, and then also your passenger side main inlet override switch. Let's move lower down on the pump panel area where you'll find the passenger side main inlet, once again electrically controlled, also has an access door here for the relief valve. As we move further right, you'll find the reel rewind for your booster line, also powered equipment rack, instructions for raise and lower, also some danger placards, also warning regarding entanglement because of those lines from aloft, and then also warning regarding pressure hazard, which we've covered already. Caps may be under pressure, be cautious when opening them. As we move to the right, we have the cab lift, instructions for its operations to raise and also lower, some caution and some danger information on that placard. Let's move down where you'll find the passenger side number 4 and also passenger side number 3. This number 3 is foam capable. As we move to the very bottom, color-coded and labeled discharge drains and also the passenger side auxiliary inlet. Let's go ahead and move down to the cab section on the passenger side. We'll start with the rear section. As we move into the door panel area, you'll find affixed to the door panel safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window control, and a grab handle. Moving in into the center, you'll find your air conditioning unit, also push on and off white or red lenses. In the upper right-hand corner of this image, this is where you're going to find your lockbox control module located in the very top section. As we move to the forward section of the seat, you'll also find a speaker and also SETCOM interface module. As we move toward the center, once again, lift and turn latch gains you access into the rear engine section for daily checks for oil and transmission. Alcoa wheel, Michelin tires, and that visual sight gauge indicator for the front axle. Let's move now into the officer space. Same thing as we look inside the cab area, affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window control, and grab handle. As we move inside at the base of the air ride pedestal, you'll find a flashlight. Then as we move inside, you'll also find directly behind the Federal Signal Rumbler control module. As we move to the dash area, we have portable radio chargers, and then also we have a red placard indicating spare wiring behind, indicating the option number, and then also the termination is in the front of the officer's area. 12-volt access via USB and also barrel style. As we move, this vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, SRS, airbag. Please don't mount anything within this area before consulting with Pierce. As we move to the right A-pillar, you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. As to the left option here, on the left of the dash, I should say, mechanical siren, air horn, and rumbler. Overhead, you'll have your radio controls attached via magnetic. And then also, once again, wiring spare behind the panel indicating option number and also the type of wire. We have some switch panels here for the emergency master, electronic siren, AM/FM radio, driver side scene, and passenger side scene. We also have your unit radio located up in the top portion over the officer's space. Let's go ahead and go back to the exterior now. Let's take a look at the rear section of the vehicle. This is a diamond-plated hosebed cover. It does have yellow indicators indicating they're reflective, the edge of the walking surface. As we look inside of the very front bulkhead area, you'll find two 2.5-inch discharges located rear facing, also one onto the very far right-hand side bulkhead. Let's take a look into the dunnage area. You'll find the water tank and also foam tank. These are the top fill locations. First, let's cover the foam tank. We do have a warning placard, do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Also, water tank top fill location. Moving forward of this location, you can see we have a dunnage area, also your Husky 3 hydraulic reservoir, and also your booster line. In the very bottom section, you'll find the fill location for your Husky system. Also, you'll find on the booster line a free tension spool knob, and at the very top section, a manual tool insert location for manual rewind. As we move more toward the center section, you'll find your master stream device. It does have an extend-a-gun on it. And then as we move to the cab section, just as a reminder, this is a non-walking surface, and that's why we have these placards indicating that it is a non-walking surface. Additional storage just to the rear section of the cab area. Then let's go ahead and take a look at the side of the vehicle. This is going to be the passenger side, ladder rack down. On the ladder rack, we do have hand tools located in the very top portion of the rack, and then also 24-foot extension, 14-foot roof, and a 10-foot folding attic. The next set of images are going to be that of the cab tilted, of the chassis and engine area. We'll identify a few items within these areas now. As we move to the cab tilt, just as a reminder for this function, when raising the cab, fully raise the cab and place the safety bar in location, although do not lower the cab onto the safety bar. It is designed to have oil pressure on both cylinders to maintain the cab in the upright position. Also, as we look to the battery area, you'll find in the lower section of the battery, these are the termination blocks for positive and negative. This will conclude the chassis, transmission, and engine images. Congratulations, Richland Fire and Emergency Services, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 37037. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.